Happy Wednesday. This is Nitha Ramachandra from the NR Hour Sports Show. Obviously, we're almost here to Thanksgiving tomorrow. This is episode 1056. Fans, please tune in. We are live on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, on all the podcast platforms. And then obviously everybody knows about our Spreaker app where our fans can tune in and ask questions. And today we're joined by a really special guest. His name is Shea Hillenbrand. He's a former MLB infielder, two-time All-Star. Man, what a great career he had in his journey in his career. And now he's doing big things off the field after his career. He's a global speaker. He's a zoo owner. He does a lot of great things. So we're going to get to all of what he's doing now, obviously, in his career. But Shea, thank you for joining us today. It's truly an honor. And like I said, almost Thanksgiving. So hopefully everyone spends time with their family, get together and eat a lot. But for you, how are you and your family doing today?
Oh, we're doing amazing, man. I'm just super blessed to be able to have this opportunity to share with people and maybe inspire and enlighten some people through my story and my journey of what I've experienced in my life, man. I was a kid in fifth grade that in Mr. Murphy's class, and he went around one day and he said, "We're going to dream big today." And I vigorously raised my hand in the back of the class, and I was like, pick me. And he said, "All right, Shay, what do you want to do?" And I said, "I'm going to play Major League Baseball and I'm going to own a zoo." So that's what I did. So I'm grateful to be able to do all that stuff.
Wow. Yeah. So before we get into all of your journey, career, and obviously, as you know, the best time of the year in baseball is free agency, and obviously you play for the Giants, and Aaron Judge, one of the biggest free agents out there, as you know, visited the Giants, and take us back to your free agency process when you're in your career, and how did you deal with it, and what would you tell Aaron Judge in his situation? Obviously, meeting with your former team.
Yeah, it is. It's a business, and unfortunately, a lot of us fans don't see it as that, and it's very difficult. And we're human beings, believe it or not. Even though guys like Aaron Judge do things that are superhuman on a baseball field, but we are human beings. We do have families, and there's a lot of stuff that is involved with trying to make the best decisions for yourself because what a lot of fans don't realize is the Major League Baseball career, the span of that is very short considering the span of your lifetime. So I played in the major leagues from 25 till 32, which is just 7 years of my life. And it was such a short span. But my free agent year, I was just a free agent one time after 6 years. And actually, Joe Torre called me as I was leaving my neighborhood one day in the offseason. I was going to go work out, and I received a New York phone number, and I'm like, I wonder who this is. And I answered the phone, hello, and said, "Hey, Shay, this is Joe Torre." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, man, this is pretty cool." He says, I want you to come play in pinstripes because I did pretty well in Yankee Stadium, and I really enjoyed playing and performing and having success on big stages. And it takes a specific person to be able to play in New York, to be able to play in Boston, to be able to play in the big markets like that. And he says, "You know what? You remind me of Paulie O'Neill, Tino Martinez, or Scott Brocious, and I want you to come in and be an accent player to Jeter, to A-Rod, and to Giambi, and the guys they had in the middle of the lineup, Posada and the Bernie. Like, it's crazy. The lineup was stacked." And I said, "You know what? I think a lot of players quietly, secretly would like to play in pinstripes." So I said, "I'd like to play there." And long story short, my agent screwed up the whole deal.
Wow.
My agent blew the deal up without me knowing. And I didn't find out till next spring training. He was like, "Why didn't you sign here?" I don't know. I didn't know I had an opportunity. Well, the Yankees had an offer of this on the table, and your agent said that you wouldn't take, and I didn't know anything about it. So I ended up in Anaheim, playing for the Angels with a 1 year and an option. But I actually negotiated that contract from a gas station in Mexico, and I was a really unique situation. But yeah, just grateful to have the opportunity.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. What a crazy story there. And tell our fans, obviously, you mentioned it earlier when you were in class and telling your teacher, I mean, the teacher going over your dreams and goals. And obviously, you fulfilled them with the zoo, being a zoo owner and being a baseball player. So how special is that for you, just to say those things when you were a student, and now to fulfill your dreams, to have both of them in your career?
Yeah, that's a great question. I appreciate you asking. I never had that asked to me before, and I've done a ton of podcasts and a bunch of interviews, and I speak around the world. And it's one of those things where, like, I talk to my mom every day now, and she says, "You know what, son, you were just different. You were just not like the other kids, and you just didn't think. I don't know about that. I don't have any special crazy talent. I'm not like." I was a two-time All-Star third baseman in the major leagues, and I barely even know how to field a ground ball.
Yeah.
But I just I, like visualization is the number one tool that we have in our tool belt. The mind cannot discern the difference between imagination and reality. And I always sat there at the top deck of Dodger Stadium. I grew up in LA, and 8 years old, 9, 10, 11, we had season tickets, and my mom, my best friend, and myself would sit at the top deck of the stadium, and I'd have my chocolate malt in one hand and my nachos in the other hand. And I always said, I'm going to play down there someday. I'm going to be down there someday. I didn't really care too much about the players. I'd never got an autograph, and I didn't care. I was like, I want to be that. So I'd sit there and I'd engage my senses. And this is something that everybody could do that very few people do it, is engage your senses. So I'd hear the crack of the bat, feel the energy from the crowd, and smell the grass, and always imagine Vince Scully, the voice of the Dodgers, announcing my at bat. And I'd go home and lay in bed because, I'd lay at night, just envision that over and over and over and over. And we don't have to go deep into it. Was it a love for the game, or was it my escape of my internal world of hell that I created through experiences in my childhood and my adolescence? That's for a different podcast. But the consistency of Dodger fan in the 1980s, you show up in the third inning, you leave in the seventh inning to beat traffic, and you listen to Vince Scully on the radio. So I always imagined Vince Scully calling my at bat. So fast forward, one of the most defining moments of my Major League Baseball career, I'm an all-star for the Red Sox, and we're going to play interleague against the Dodgers. We're flying across country on the plane from Boston to LA. And I go up to our athletic trainer, who happened to train Hideo Nomo in the off season. And we're facing Hideo Nomo. Yeah. Mind you, I had dreams for 2 weeks up to that point of playing in Dodger Stadium, not to be able to come through with a game-winning home run or being magical, but just standing at third base, looking up to where I was when I was a kid as a Dodger fan in the 1980s. So I went up to my friend who's an athletic trainer who trained Hideo Nomo the whole offseason. I was like, what's my approach? What's my approach against Hideo, man? Let me know. He's like, just to sit the fastball. And I was like, what? What do you do? Bro, he's got this Ginzu changeup and this funky windup. Hideo Nomo, like the number one Japanese pitcher, first guy ever, like he's pretty, phenomenal. And he's like, don't worry, just to sit the fastball. I was like, okay. So I scratched my head going back to my seat on the plane and finish the flight. And long story short, I go out there and I stand at third base because I was playing third base that day. And let me tell you what, when you live your dream real time, I'm talking about not like, oh, I want to be a doctor, or I want to be rich, or something you've been envisioning and imagining and manifesting your whole life from 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. When you're on that field, when I was on that field at third base, it was so overwhelming for my senses, I couldn't process it. Like my system, my body was like, it was like overload. It was like an out-of-body experience. So that's when you hear people say, oh, this was an out-of-body experience, because it's like, it is so like overwhelming. And I had a chance to look up to when I was a kid, and I'll never forget how special that moment was, because I did it when everybody else gave up. All my friends said it was too hard. They're partying and they all gave up on their dreams. I just pushed through, and I never gave up. I did the little things every single day. So long story short, that day, Vince Scully called my at-bats, and I went 4 for 4 with 2 home runs, a double and a single against Hideo Nomo. In my last at-bat, I almost hit the ball out of the stadium. But the thing that I'm saying, I don't care about oh, cool, he had success at the plate. Listening to Vince Scully call my at-bat during that was just priceless. So being able to do that, so many people give up on their dreams. We have a dream, we have a vision. All of us have been given this. We've all given a purpose to be here. All of us. I don't care who it is. I'm not going to discuss it or whatever. That's Shea Hillenbrand's belief system. But so many people's dreams and vision has gone dormant because life's knocked them down. Life's put them on their back or whatever. And all of a sudden that dream just compartmentalized or put on the back shelf. And then we go out there and we try to pursue a successful job that generates money. And I have this pain inside myself, and I have this discomfort inside myself from experiences in my life. And all of a sudden I think, if I just have that success, if I just go out there and get that status or that money or that monetary stuff, that pain will go away. That dream will just compartmentalize, and I'll fill that void with that success. But let me tell you something. If you've never had a lot of money, if you've never been really rich, I've made $20 million, you don't realize that that money will never give you that satisfaction. You're still in that same spot. But what so many people don't realize, the scariest part of that equation is thinking that that money will fill that void, or that money will, or that success or that fame will solve all your problems. And when you get there and you achieve that, and it doesn't, and then you sit there with that same pain, that same discomfort, that same dream, and that same vision that's gone dormant, and now you're super scared because you don't know what to do, because you thought that success would solve that problem. This is the story of so many professional athletes that have sold our soul, and our game, our identity has become the game, and it's really unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah, so we are live with former MLB infielder and two-time All-Star Shea Hillenbrand. We have a fan question for you, just popped in our app. One of our fans wants to know, what was it like playing with two of the most historic franchises, in my opinion, in the Red Sox and the Dodgers?
Great question. Usually everybody asks about what happened with John Gibbons, why I did this in the clubhouse, and just to be transparent for you and I'll answer any question. You can ask me. I'm writing a book right now, and we're turning the book into a movie. And that Shea Hillenbrand, the character that played Major League Baseball, he was quite a character. And sometimes I'm like, oh, what was that guy thinking, man? Like, it's crazy, but it'll make for a great movie and it makes for great stories. Coming up to the Red Sox organization, get this. Like I said, I grew up a Dodger fan in the 1980s, right? And West Coast baseball is a lot different than East Coast baseball. If you don't know that, you've never been to an East Coast game. East Coast baseball is like what's in Shea Hillenbrand's blood, not the West Coast, or not the fair, whatever we talk about that stuff. But I was drafted by the Boston Red Sox out of junior college. I didn't have anywhere to go after high school. My childhood dream was to play baseball. I didn't have any options to go play baseball after high school. So I was the number one soccer player in the state of Arizona in high school. I had chances to play in Europe. I had chances to play at university, but I didn't have anywhere to go play baseball. But my dream was not to play soccer. My dream was to play baseball. And the reason why I tell you this, guys, is that when I was drafted by the Red Sox, I told all my 20 years old, not 16, 15, 20 years old. I'm an adult. I told all my friends I got drafted by the White Sox. Like, what are you talking about, dude? You got drafted by the Red Sox, man. Like, one of the most prestigious organizations, right? It's New England's a nation. It's like comprised of 6 states. 1918, last time they won the World Series. Arguably the greatest rivalry in sports is Red Sox Yankees. I'm like, wait. Chill, dude. And my friends would like be mad at me. I'm like, wait. I don't know anything about baseball outside of LA. And all I know is I want to be called by Vince Scully. And number 2, let me tell you something. I don't care what Sox it is. I'm going to the major leagues. And I scaled myself to the minor league system, and I pivoted, and my story is really unique. I got drafted as a shortstop. I went to first and third base because I sucked at short. And then I went to catcher to learn how to catch in Australia. And then I tore my ACL. Then I went back to third base. And then I went to be catcher. And then all of a sudden, the starting third baseman for the Red Sox on opening day in 2001. And it's just like, I can't tell you the experience as a Red Sox player, and this is pre-World Series, so it's kind of different because post-World Series is different. Like, we won, it's cool, but this is like pre-World Series. Like, there's like grown-ups and adults and elderly people waiting on to die so they could see a World Series. That's Red Sox fans. I had fans sending me fan mail saying they've been watching games since 3 years old with their dad every single game of the season. Like, it's crazy. So I wished I played my whole career in Boston. Like, my heart is still in Boston. I came up to the organization. I was the first Red Sox player to go from AA I skipped AAA, so go from AA to the major leagues
Mm.
in 30 years. The last time somebody did that was in the 1970s. And the guy that did that since me for the Red Sox is Jackie Bradley Jr.
Yeah.
So I wasn't just I like some phenomenal talent, opportunity, luck, all that, take advantage of opportunity. I'm in Boston and I'm like, this is insane. I love it here. The fans are like Shea Hillenbrand. I like, man, I was a blue collar player and I ran hard from home to first every single time. And man, I like every time I get out and go back to dugout, the fans are like, it's all right, Shea, and we'll get him next time, man, because they knew I put my heart out there every single night. If I made an error or if I struck out or if I didn't come through in a situation, I expected the fans to boo. That's because they're passionate and they want to win so badly. I share that same passion. So I always tell everybody the worst experience that I've ever experienced ever on a Major League Baseball field was having a routine ground ball hit to me at Fenway Park, and it goes between my legs and it doesn't touch my glove. And I'm like naked out there. I'm like, oh, here we go. I'm gonna wear it, Shea. So playing for the Red Sox and seeing somebody like Big Poppy, David Ortiz, do what he did was just special. And I don't have any regrets, but I'm like, man, I wish I was on that field when we won the. I didn't win when the Red Sox won the World Series. That would have just been so special. Obviously, it is a business, and things happen or whatever. And my character, my actions, kind of dictate a lot of things that I did because I was deemed a cancer in the clubhouse and really was struggling and had some internal turmoil that I had to deal with. But Boston is absolutely phenomenal. LA is die hard. I grew up there, so that was special to me. 6 teams that I played on. My number 29 with the Red Sox is I would sleep with that number on a pillow every night. But it just as a kid growing up in LA, a Dodger fan, being able to wear a Dodger uniform, that was pretty special too.
Wow. Yeah, so we have another fan question here. One of our fans wants to know, they want to know some of your best moments as a player throughout your career.
Yeah, best moments are the 1st and the 15th. That's when you get paid. We get paid lots of money. I'm just kidding. But it's funny. I always tell people that. What was your favorite part of playing in Major League Baseball? Going to my locker on the 1st and the 15th and pulling that paycheck out and seeing, oh my gosh. But the craziest thing is, man, what I always tell everybody, like when I was a kid, when we were kids, we're like, I want to be a millionaire when I grew up. I want to be a millionaire because you think being a millionaire is like really cool status. Not one time in my Major League Baseball career that I ever like sat there and looked at one of my paychecks like, wow, I'm a millionaire. Or I never once in my Major League Baseball career I had 3,000 at bats, and I played 7 years and started every day. I never sat on a baseball field, Major League Baseball field. It was like, wow, like I'm living my dream because the pressure at that level is so great that you lose yourself. And when you lose yourself, you begin playing the pain-driven game. So great moments in my career. Man, I had a lot of those. Had some great teammates. The first great moment in my career was hitting a game-winning home run off of Mariano Rivera at Fenway Park. First Red Sox player to do that in 2002. It was into the net before they put the seats up there, rounding first base. Man, ground shaking. Thought the stadium was going to collapse. That was phenomenal, being able to come through in that situation. I was in a perfect game with Randy Johnson. I played behind Randy Johnson, perfect game in Atlanta with the D-backs. And then, like I said, I live in Arizona. So I went to high school here, went to junior college here, playing for the Diamondbacks. That was kind of cool because you're at home, but that's about it because it's like a transient state. The fan base is totally different. The polar opposite of Red Sox fans or East Coast fans. I hit 3 home runs in consecutive innings. In one game, I was in 2 no-hitters behind Hideo Nomo and Derek Lowe. But other than that, I mean, it just you get into the place, and when you do it so much, it just becomes second nature. You know what I mean? Like it's just like if you're playing in college or like you're playing in high school or you're playing in junior high, you're playing like if you do it every day, it just becomes a part of you. You don't really realize you're playing in front of 40,000 people, or you're on ESPN, or you see yourself on highlights. That was pretty cool, seeing your ticker, your name on the bottom of the ticker, Hillenbrand 444, blah blah blah. Seeing that or watching highlights of you on ESPN, that is pretty special. But the most, like I said at the beginning, the coolest thing I ever experienced was Vince Scully calling my name in my at bats, and I still have that video, and that's pretty special.
Yeah, so tell our fans, building off of Vince Scully, What was your reaction when you heard the news that when he passed away, and just devastating? Obviously, one of the best play-by-play callers, in my opinion, in the game of baseball and all sports. But what was your reaction when he passed away? And obviously, you've been with his legacy, and obviously him calling your name too.
Yeah, absolutely. Good question. It's just, people get old and people pass. And I don't think that was unexpected. When you say that, Tommy Lasorda comes to my mind as well. He lived a good life, and he was the manager of the Dodgers when I was a kid, and watching him roll out to the mound and yell at an umpire, all that stuff. But when you say, what was it like with Vince Scully passing, it's an end of an era. He is a special human being. How he could paint a picture, how he could I mean, I have the goosebumps right now talking about it. Like when you're laying in bed, like it's so soothing and it's comforting, and it's like grandpa or a father figure, and he's just it's just a gift. And I don't know if anybody else has done it. So he served his purpose. He's created a tremendous amount of memories, and he left his mark while he was here.
Yeah, obviously you play with two teams in the same division with the Red Sox, Blue Jays, and obviously the Angels and the Dodgers and in the NL West, and you play with the Blue Jays and Red Sox and in the AL East. So what was that like, just playing your former teams, each of them in the same division?
Yeah, so another good question. Going back to Fenway Park, because I came up as a Red Sox, right? So um, going back, and I didn't leave on good terms because I said some things about Theo Epstein, like I was just a donkey, man. Very, very, not in a very good spot at all. And I was that type of person that I always said what other people thought. And it's just like, why are you saying that? Well, why aren't you saying it? Because you're thinking the same thing. So I was that guy where, you know, it all comes down to this, and this is what's translatable or transferable to your listeners or your viewers, is that pain not transformed is transmitted. If we don't transform the pain that we have in our life, we will transmit it some way, somehow. And the way you transform the pain and not transmit it is through your perspective, switching your perspective, those pain points. So when I left, I mean, we're on a flight from Boston to Toronto, and Johnny Damon comes up to me on the plane. I'm leading the team after 2 months with RBIs hitting seventh. I had 49 RBIs hitting seventh for the Red Sox, and Manny Ramirez had 47. Man. Just think about that. The RBI machine was behind. I just had a lot more people on base when I came up, and I just hit line drives, and this guy's putting on a show. But after 2 months, I had 49 RBIs, and Johnny Damon comes up to me on the plane and says, dude, we just traded you to Arizona. And that was just, it was like a divorce. Like, I cannot explain it any other way. I went through some traumatic experiences with the way I perceive things, not like my father abused me or whatever, none of that stuff, but it was challenging when I grew up, very, very emotionally unavailable. But it felt like when I got traded from the Boston Red Sox to the Arizona Diamondbacks was like a scab being ripped off a wound. And it's just like, ugh. So going through Arizona, and I get MVP of that team. I hit 310 for the Diamondbacks in 2004. Then I get traded to Toronto. And then I'm playing in Toronto, and then going to Toronto back to Boston. It was bittersweet. It was so fun to be able to experience it, but everybody booed me my first at bat or my first game, every at bat. And that really hurt. But they rightfully so had a right to boo me because of my actions. But no one ever knew what was going on inside myself. A lot of people don't know what's going on inside Major League Baseball players, and a lot of us struggle. We're traumatized athletes, and we struggle with being able to articulate and be a person outside of what we do. So playing against the Red Sox was tough. I remember hitting a game, launched a bomb off Keith Folk, the closer, late in the game, going to bat and talking to Veritak, who was called me Bam Bam. What's up, Bam Bam? And then Wakefield facing, like, it's like facing your team, and that was very difficult. But going out west and playing, Giants, Dodgers, and then Angels, I didn't care. It's all good.
Yeah. So speaking of Johnny Damon, we had Johnny Damon on our show last year. It was an honor talking to him, and what a great guy, and obviously a great player. And we'll send you the interview so you can check that out too afterwards here.
Johnny's an amazing guy, and he's so awesome. He's got such a kind heart, and he always wanted to, like, one of his best friends is Scott Stabb, and he was the lead singer for Creed. And remember Johnny Damon playing with him. He always wanted to be a lead singer. He always wanted to be a rock star. And if you look at the way he is and way he dresses and stuff like that, you can see. So it's so funny because a lot of athletes want to be entertainers or movie stars or whatever, actors. And then you see entertainers and actors that want to be athletes, So Johnny Damon is an awesome guy. I flew to the All-Star game with him in the private jet. He let me drive his Porsche when I was younger, and like just an amazing guy. I remember talking to him when he was going through some stuff off the field before he married. He's got two twins. He's got twins, a daughter and a boy. Yeah, so I imagine they're like adults now, but the Johnny's awesome, man.
He showed us his two World Series rings on the show, one with the Yankees and one with the Red Sox. He went like this.
Yeah, it's so awesome, man, being able to do that. And it's like Johnny Damon's a freak of nature. Like he never stretched. Like he's like, if I stretch, I get tight, and I get like the opposite of what you think, man. And it's just like, it's crazy to see this guy. He's so unorthodox at the plate in center field, throwing and hitting, but he got the job done every time. I've never seen anybody break so many bats as he did. But he's like, I don't care, dude. We'll get the job done. Love that guy.
Yeah, so we have another fan question for you. They want to know how did you deal with the position changing with going to the first third from the infield and to catcher, and they want to know how did you deal with the ACL injury?
Yeah, you don't have a choice. Either you do it or you don't, or you're not going to have a job. That's really it. Switching positions, you just learn it. You just do it. I mean, it's so hard when you to get to the major leagues. If you look at the numbers, they're staggering, the percentages of chances of making it. And I didn't care. I'm like, I'm going to the big leagues. I don't care how I got to get there. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. They have a vision of where they want to go. And then like, I think this is the way I'm going to get there. And I concoct this idea and this plan and this roadmap in my mind. And if I don't get there with that way I think I'm going to get it, I think I'm going to be a failure and I'm not supposed to do it. And I'm supposed to be meant to do something else. It's so untrue. Right. I thought I was going to be a shortstop in the major leagues. Far from it. I couldn't even field a ground ball. I had 14 errors my first 10 games of pro ball at shortstop. And the manager's like, do you want to play first or third? I'm like, yes, sir. Get me the heck out of here. But I hitting was like a drug for me. Right. So hitting a baseball is extremely difficult. It's the hardest thing to do in sports, period. And they're doing studies now saying it's almost humanly impossible to hit a major league fastball. And I could do it in my sleep because I've swung a baseball bat 1,000,000 times, not because I love the game, but that's the only place I found solitude in my life. And I could escape my internal world of hell that I was living in, that the world that so many of your listeners are living in right now, but they don't want to show anybody. They don't want anybody to know because they see it as a sign of weakness. But if we're transparent, that's where true growth and transformation happens. So I only found solitude when I was in the batting cage or in the batter's box. I felt like Michael Jackson when he said like only place he felt like he could escape his internal world of hell was performing on stage or in the studio, producing and creating something, right? My internal world was absolutely in shambles. I couldn't look at somebody in the eyes in fear of them looking into my soul and seeing my soul shattered. I was a hurt little boy that was screaming for help. And the way I did that was through anger and through being an a-hole and keeping people away. And if I just do this, people won't really see the real Shea Hillenbrand on the inside. So going from position to position, that was easy. Getting hurt, I didn't care. When I got hurt, I was supposed to go to the big leagues 2 weeks after that projected date when I tore my ACL in AA. So when I had that, I was like, okay, I have two choices right now. I have a choice to sit here and complain and bitch about it, or I could do something about it and deal with what I have. See, I was on like level 7, climbing the ladder to level 10 to the major leagues. Now I got knocked back down to level 1. I was taken off the 40-man roster and I could barely even walk. So I was like, okay, the first thing I got to do is walk. Second thing I have to do is build my stabilization muscles. Third thing I have to do is be able to move. The fourth thing I need to do is start doing baseball specific exercises. The fifth thing I need to do is start taking BP. And you know what I mean? So it's like, you have to go back and boom. Like so many people, when we get derailed or knocked down or set off track, we just get, oh, it's not supposed to be. And then we just try to get, no, you have to go back a few levels. You have to go back down and focus there with that vision still in your mind of ultimately of where you want to go. But you have to say, okay, I'm back on level 1. What can I do right now? I have to master staying healthy. So I just stayed healthy. I went behind Circle K or 7-Eleven in the middle of the night, was throwing a medicine ball against the wall in the middle of the night with bums sitting next to me, street people. And I would buy them 40s, like the alcohol, just to help me work out. Like it's just like, I don't know what you guys are doing. I have to get back to the show because that's my dream. But so many people don't want to put the work in. What separates the greats, what separated Shea Hillenbrand as being an all-star in the major leagues, to separate me from being a regular major leaguer or a AAA player, let me tell you what, there's so many better players in AAA because I've gone down to rehab a couple of times. I'm like, dude, what are you guys doing here? Like, you're so much better than the people that I play with in the big leagues. But when they get that shot, they don't have the mindset. They don't have the hunger, and they don't have the drive to do the little things. So it separated me from everybody else. I just did the little things. I mastered the skill sets inside of what I did inside the industry, and that's throwing, hitting, and fielding ground balls. Right? So it's like, what industry are you in right now? You want to separate yourself? You want to tap into the abnormal inside of yourself? Do the little things every single day. You have to show up every day. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving. You know what I'm doing? I'm going right down to the gym, and I'm working out. I'm not taking a day off. Am I going to adjust my day so I can spend time with family and do it? Yeah, but I'm not taking a day off because I have a vision now of using my voice and my story, which is an Emmy Award-winning story, to go out there and inspire and impact the world. It's not just about Shea Hillenbrand, the Major League Baseball player. I'll tell you stories about that. But what people don't realize is 9 years ago, I found myself on the floor of a van after overdosing on drugs and alcohol.
Oh my God.
Realize the guy that so many people envy. Motionless. And as the soul's leaving the top of my head and I'm clinging onto my last breath, the thoughts going through my mind are like, you're a loser, you're a failure, you're an idiot. What would your parents think if you left this world? What kind of dad would do this to his kids? You know what my answer is? I don't know. I'm nothing if I don't have baseball. So many fans don't realize what Aaron Judge is going through right now, what these guys go through on a daily basis. Tatis Jr. in San Diego, he is a rock star. He is one of the top franchise. He is one of the faces of MLB. Boom, he gets caught for steroids. His career is tainted. He's on the back. What is he doing? Where is he at? What's the support he has to help him through that? Through the identity crisis, the identity thing. And if somebody says, oh, he cheated, we're humans. You don't know what you would do until you got put in that situation. Mm-hmm. So you can't judge somebody else for what they're doing because you can't say what you would do if you were put in that situation as well. The pressure at that level is so far insane that so many people have no clue what it takes to even show up every single day in the major leagues to do what Aaron Judge did, even just to be there, right? So it is so difficult. And what I want to convey to people is like, man, we all have greatness inside of us. Yeah. We all have it abnormal. You want to know why I got paid playing baseball? You know why Aaron Judge is going to get paid a lot of money? Do you know why I made $20 million? Because I was abnormal. I did something that very few people could do. That's why Major League Baseball players get paid so much. Whatever industry that you're in, you see people that get paid an exuberant amount of money or whatever, they're abnormal. But I believe everybody has abnormal inside them. Once we get out of our own way and switch our perspective, how we view the world and how we view ourselves, we can start tapping into that and showing up every day with that. I've had everything in the world. Flying private jets, mansions, cars, millions of dollars, everything. Rubbing shoulders with the presidents, movie stars, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck in our clubhouse every day with the Red Sox. J-Lo, because she's dating Ben Affleck. I've seen so many people, and I've been there and I've done it. But the thing is that it's no big deal. It's no big deal because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. Yeah. What allowed me to get to that situation, that place? I just didn't give up. But what I challenge everybody is to audit your perspective, how you view yourself, because that's what's blocking you from seeking the greatest version of yourself and going out there. I've had it all. And I thought it was all for me, but I was trying to fill that God-sized hole inside myself with everything, success and money and status and monetary stuff. But that hole kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger because that void was bigger because I didn't know who I was. So that's what led me to being one breath away from losing my life. But what I realized once I switched my perspective, it gave me one breath away from a breakthrough in my life. I'm no different than anybody else. But if you tap into the abnormality, I don't even think that's a word. If you tap into the abnormal inside of yourself and show up every single day and just chisel at it, you'll find something that you enjoy doing. Go out there and do it every day and serve the world. And if you serve enough other people with your gifts and talents to bring the purity of your heart and authenticity of who you are, you'll have a unique value proposition. You'll start setting yourself apart. I'm in the self-development space. I speak around the world. I have zero competition, because I found who I am and I've dug into something that's deeper than the surface level stuff of here's 5 tricks to get here. Let me take you to do this. Let me show you my Lambo. You could take that. That's cool. You could have that stuff, but you still have to put your head in the pillow each and every night. And I couldn't do that with all that stuff, but now I can do that. And when you find that place of purity of where you are, you set your soul on fire and stuff comes out like I'm giving the energy right now. I didn't have this when I played Major League Baseball. I was miserable. I was a kid. Just Google my name. But this was always inside myself. But I had to do the work to get out of my own way. And the work needs to be done internally, not externally inside your industry of what you're trying to achieve with success there.
Wow, man, you have a powerful story, man. This is awesome right now. Sharing your stuff on
and I appreciate this platform, man. I appreciate the time.
Yeah, so for you, we have another fan question. One of our good friends, Julian Gallardi, he has a podcast, so you should check his out. Their podcast is called Out in the Field One. He wants to know, he has 2 questions for you. He wants to know some of your favorite teammates that you played with, and also he wants to know toughest pitchers you faced against.
First, I'll answer toughest pitchers. It's so funny when people ask me that. Every pitcher's tough. Every last one's tough. Every pitcher's tough. You have one pitch of that bat in the big leagues to do something with. So I have to make an adjustment in between pitches. That's what separates the people that are successful. If you see a guy like Judge, you see a guy like Big Papi, you see a guy like Trout, you see a guy like, I don't know who's now Soto, whatever, they're consistently on time. They understand their swing. They don't allow their mind to focus to deviate, and they get to their contact point consistently. That's the one thing that separates them and myself and the rest of the pack. We get there more consistently. It's how you focus. Every pitcher is tough, but the pitchers that have my number, I'd say Ramiro Mendoza, I'd say Andy Pettit, I'd say sinker ballers, guys that are sinker ballers and lefties that threw cutters. I had a very difficult time with the pitch inside. Right. I remember facing Roger Clemens when he was with, New York, and he was with Texas or Houston, and he threw a 91-mile-an-hour sinker. So a sinker goes down this way, and he threw a 91-mile-an-hour split finger that went straight down. So when I identify a pitch out of the pitcher's hand, I don't track it all the way in. I identify it out there, and I project and assume where that pitch is going to be when it crosses the plate. So I instantly identify a sinker. It starts out here, but I'm going to swing over here because that's where it's going to be when it crosses the plate. But now that pitch isn't a sinker, it's a split finger. So it doesn't come in, it goes down, and I'd swing through it every time. I hit over 300 with 2 strikes. I could hit, but I could never. I'm like, how is this possible? I'm telling you, like Justin Verlander threw me a 101-mile-an-hour fastball. It's so difficult. But the thing is, it's not about the most difficult pitcher that you face. It's about having to bring your game every single night and showing up every single night with that focus, with that mindset, with that state of being to where you go out there and compete. That's the most challenging part because you only face pitchers, every so often. Like I've faced pitchers like 20 at bats in my whole career. You know what I mean? So it's like, we missed the number 1, number 2 starter with this series. We're facing a 3, 4, 5 starter. That's where you make all your money. But it's just like, okay, this guy's up. It's just, it's so hard. Best teammates, top of my head, Tony Clark. He's the head of the Player Association right now. Yeah. He was a very, very instrumental influence in my life when I played with him. With the Red Sox, number 1, he played first base, and he's like 7'10", like. It's crazy. Like he's like, dude, if you throw the ball over my head, you suck, and I could pick the ball. So don't throw it over my head. So it was a big target. He was joking, but he a lot of people don't realize like he's a devout Christian, and he's a man of God and a man of faith, but he didn't like preach it. He didn't like blah, he didn't shove it down your face. So he acted. So it's like you always gravitated to him in his locker. It's like I want to be around that energy. And on the other end of that spectrum, Carl Everett, who was like Tasmanian devil in the clubhouse, but he was such a good role model for me because he's extremely smart, right? Like, and he taught me a lot of stuff, and that I remember Vernon Wells, Danny Batista, right fielder for the Diamondbacks when they won the World Series. Like he's Dominican, and he was a split image. Like he is my biological identical twin. brother, but he's Dominican and black, right? So it's just like I loved him. And there's a number of guys in each team I was on, but I really didn't enjoy being in the clubhouse. I was the guy in the clubhouse that they flip on the music in Toronto after the game, and they have open up a couple beers or whatever, and like, hey Hilly, you gonna go out with us tonight and celebrate the win? And my answer would be, why would I go out there? I don't even hang out with you in here when I have to. Why would I go hang out with you out there when I don't have to? I don't even hang out with you here. I don't even like you here. And they all laugh like, oh, you're funny. I'm like, I'm serious. That's the place that Shea Hillenbrand operated from when I played. And the reason why I hated them is because I ultimately hated myself. Mm-hmm. So there was like Barry Bonds, awesome teammate, man. I went over to his locker. I said, dude, teach me everything you know, dude. This ain't your ghetto, bro. This he had like 3 or 4 lockers on the side of the clubhouse. This is before he got the home run record. I hit in front of him. I hit 34th in 2006 for 3 months, right? And nobody went over to his locker, man, because there's Barry Bonds. And this is the ghetto. But what did Shea Hillenbrand do? Boom. I went over and sat over right next to him and said, Barry, this ain't no ghetto. You know nothing about the ghetto, dude. You grew up like you grew up in the clubhouse, dude. Your dad's Bobby Bonds. Your godfather's Willie Mays. You went to Arizona State, and your dad called the manager of head coach of Arizona State, said, don't even think about talking to him about hitting because we'll pull him off the team. Because they like this guy was like, he lived in Beverly Park, man. You have to have $25 million liquid money in your bank account to live in Beverly Park. Like Reba McEntire, Eddie Murphy, Seinfeld, all those people are his neighbors in Beverly Park. The poor people lived in. I'm like, Barry, this ain't no ghetto, bro. And he started laughing, and I said, dude, teach me everything you know. And he's like, that's why I love you, man. You're my wigger, man. Like I love you, man. Like I'm like, dude, I'm not no wigger. I grew up in a middle-class white neighborhood. I just don't care. I just want to, I'm hungry. So Barry Bonds taught me so much in 3 months, more than I ever learned my whole career, man. But you know who my worst teammate was? You want to know who the worst teammate I ever had?
Yeah.
Myself. Oh. I was the worst teammate ever. It was myself. And the sad part is I took myself to the ballpark. I took myself to the plate. I took myself on the field. And the worst part is I took myself home with me in the car every single night, and I hated who I was. And that was the toughest thing because I was supposed to be a $100 million baseball player, and I made $20 million. I knew I could hit 330 home runs and 100 RBIs every single year in, year out. That's kind of like what Adrian Beltre did. I knew I could flirt with 3,000 hits. I knew I could get over 200 hits a year. I was told that, but I didn't do it. I don't care about the 20 million or the 100 million, but when I left the game, when I got off the floor of that van, I got infatuated by why did that Shea Hillenbrand only reach 1/5 of his potential? And this is what I figured out. It's my belief system, my perspective, how I view the world. My perspective formed from my belief system. My belief system is formed from the stories that I tell myself every single day. My stories I tell myself every single day were formed for how I interpreted and communicated experiences to myself in my childhood and in my adolescence. But what I realized, guys, we have the remote control in our hand.
Yeah.
We could change the channel. We could change the movie. We could tune into a different frequency anytime we want. And that's what I did. And I put in the work to do so. And this is what the real Slim Shady came out. So
speaking of so tell our fans, obviously, what does it mean to you to be able to be a 2-time All-Star in your career and being able to play with other great talent from different teams? And obviously everybody comes together during the All-Star, have fun and let loose from the season and stay for us and talk about other things like family. So what was that like for you just to be part of 2 All-Stars in your career?
I was pissed off because I wanted to go home. Oh. The funny thing is, you think I'm joking. I didn't want to be there.
Oh, wow.
And I'm flying to the All-Star game in 2005 from Chandler, Arizona to Detroit, Michigan. I'm on a Citation 10 private jet. This is the fastest civilian jet in the world. Normal commercial airliner flies about 450 miles an hour, about 40,000 feet. I'm going 640 miles an hour, 64,000 feet, going to my childhood dream. Getting ready to play at the Midsummer Classic, the only game that's played where no other sports game is going on around the world because every other sports has off that day. And I'm getting ready to play in front of tens of millions of people. Imagine yourself on a private jet going to your childhood dream. Wow. Pilot, co-pilot, 10-passenger multi-million-dollar jet. But there was one problem. I didn't have my entourage, didn't have my wife at the time, didn't have my kids, I didn't have my dogs, I didn't have anybody to distract me. I was on that plane by myself. I'm looking out the window, and the thoughts going through my mind are, this is all life has to offer. Is this all there is? I'm living the American dream, man. I did everything that I'm supposed to be doing, but I hate everything about this stuff. I hate it. But I can't address that, and I can't show anybody that, and I can't convey this information to the organization, any resource there, because I have a thought in my mind that if the organization finds this out, they're going to use it as a detriment to me and get rid of me because they don't want that. They don't. Now I'm a liability, not an asset. If you truly knew who I was, you would see me as a liability. But I have to put on a smile the next day and go out there and play in front of millions of people.
Yeah. And
I have to produce. And if I don't produce, I'm not going to have a job. And this is where so many people don't understand. If I, Shea Hillenbrand, as a Major League Baseball player, as a professional athlete, don't have a job, I don't have an identity. And if I don't have an identity, I might just want to think about putting a pistol in my mouth and blowing my head off. One of our brothers did it 8 months ago. And so many people know who it is. It's Jeremy Giambi, Jason Giambi's younger brother. He did it. And they're saying this and that. The struggle's real. But with that out of the way, let me give you some fun. You're in the clubhouse. It's like the who's who. I'm sitting there at my locker. I'm like, this is insane, man. I look over my shoulder to my right, and Jason Giambi has his shirt off. He has his pants on, and he's tying up his spikes, getting ready to go do the home run derby. He's in the home run derby against Sammy Sosa. I look over, and this dude's back is so freaking bad. He should be in a WWE. I'm like, this is insane, man. So I go on the field for the home run derby. I'm sitting on the side. They use different balls for the home run derby. They're wound tighter, and they're like super balls. They just take off like freaking ping pong, just gone out of the atmosphere because you're putting on a show. I'm sitting there watching the home run derby from the field. I'm like, how is this possible, man? Like 6 years ago, I was walking on at a junior college, man. This is like don't give up on your dream because you never know what's going to happen. But you can't worry about this. Put your head down, show up every single day, do the things that you want to do that align with where you want to go. Stir up that hunger. You have to have a hunger for what you do. All right. And then what you have to do is you have to execute. You have to have the discipline every day to execute, and you have to create resilience. It goes hunger, discipline, and execute. Those are the same. And you have to be able to create resilience. When all the times you want to give up, no, boom, we're going. We're doing the little things every single day. That's how you have massive success. That's how you tap into the greatest version of yourself. And that's where you really light yourself on fire. So I'm sitting on the field watching the home run derby. And all of a sudden, this is when I played, it was before the timed rounds. It was just like, okay, you got 10 outs for each round. And then if the players got tired, because they say it's super tired, it's super stressful. It's like all eyes are on you. Like, it's like you're trying to, like it's crazy. And they would just like take timeouts. And when they took timeouts, a kid would run out with a Gatorade bottle, and they give like a Gatorade towel and like drink a Gatorade, like to promote Gatorade during the All-Star game and during the home run derby. And certain Latin players were hitting, and their buddies were on the side sitting next to me. And I'm trying to be discreet because I don't want to say who it is because it's not why I'm doing it, but this is an interesting story. And when the kid would start to go run out with the Gatorade bottle and the towel, one of the Latin entourage or friends like, come here. The kid's like, what? He's like, here, give him this one. He'd switch the Gatorade bottle and he'd give him that one. And the kid would run out there, give it to him, and the Latin player would pound it. And I'm like, dude, like, what is that, man? Like, what's going on? And no one could see. The fans don't see. No one can see whatever. And the guy sitting next to me, Papi, this Gatorade bottle I give him, it's full of tequila, man. It loosens him up, man. Watch him hit now. He's going to hit the balls out of the stadium. So God. The guy's out there hitting the home run derby, drinking tequila. It was a pretty cool experience, right? So the next thing is that both All-Star games I was in, American League, Ichiro made the team. Ichiro is an amazing character. He's superhuman, but he understands and speaks English pretty well. A lot of people you won't know because he hides behind that Japanese stuff or whatever, which is fine. He's a celebrity. So the manager would call order to the meeting, a team meeting before the game, and say, okay, guys, congratulations. You're the best of the best in the world. You guys were selected here. Enjoy it. Enjoy your time. And don't get hurt. We're going to go out there. And when I played, it was before if you won, it gives you home field advantage. Actually, in 2002 was the time where the All-Star game in a tie. I was in that All-Star game. I started an All-Star game. And after that, then that's when they started whatever. So the managers give their speech to all the players because we're the best in the world. Congratulations. And then afterwards, each time the manager says, Ichiro, you have something to say? Yeah. And then Ichiro would quietly get up and he'd pull his belt buckle up and he's like, let's beat these motherfuckers. And we're like, what? Let's go. We never knew Ichiro was like that. So there's just really cool things. Like you go to your hotel room for the All-Star game and you just got bags and bags and bags of stuff like apparel and everything. Like they treat you like a god. Like it's everything's like it's crazy. And I'm like, how am I even here? Like, how is this even possible? How did I get voted into the All-Star game by the fans? How did I beat Robin Ventura for starting third baseman in the 2002 All-Star game for the Red Sox? Like, how is this? Man, you got to light that fire. Get that vision. Get discipline. Execute. Stop doing all the service. Stop looking at social media. Stop trying to get all the tips and tricks and try to get all the training. Execute. Pivot. Formulate a new plan. Execute. Create resilience, and you'll get whatever you want to achieve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we'll take one more fan question. One of our fans wants to know, what's it like now after your career, obviously being a global speaker and also owning a zoo? They want to know.
Yeah, I love it. This is so much easier, man. A lot of people don't like speaking. I'm like, put me on a stage because I don't have to worry about hitting a baseball and the pressure. Playing baseball, real talk, I lived with a ball of stress and anxiety and pain in my stomach 24/7 for 12 years straight. I hated every aspect of it. The internal one, just because I didn't know how to navigate it. I didn't know how to communicate it. I didn't know where it was coming from. I didn't know what was going on. I just struggled as a human being, and I hated every aspect of that. Now, I went through a lot of work. Life humbled me. We have two options. Either try to humble yourself, try to take some advice, try to prepare yourself, try to figure this stuff out, try to put the work in, right? It's your perspective to the pain points. Try to put that work in. Because ultimately, if we don't do the work, internal work, it'll lead us to a point where we get humbled by life. And unfortunately, I have a really strong mindset, and life humbled me. And I'm really grateful for that. Looking back now, when you're going through it, you're like, what the heck's going on, dude? I just want to die. I can't tell you how many times I drove around like, what's the purpose of life? I lived both my childhood dreams of owning a zoo and playing Major League Baseball. I did it. Very few people get a chance to live one. I did both. What do I do now? I hate this. I mean, like nothing. Like honestly, the world has nothing, can offer me nothing right now. It's like, what can I do to fill myself up and just add value to the world and add value to people and do that stuff? So I'm constantly like, from the moment I get up, I have my earphones in. The moment I go to bed, I'm writing, I'm creating, I'm figuring stuff out. I'm trying to be creative to get my message out there. I feel like Eminem, Marshall Mathers on the bus in 8 Mile is writing that script. Like I feel like I'm doing that. And it's the last thing I thought I'd be doing. I had a 15,000 square foot house designed with an 8-foot wall built around 13 acres. I already spent, and it's still there. I didn't build the house, but I built the wall. $300,000 for a wall. And I wanted to sit on the front porch of that house after I wrote off Major League Baseball in the sunset, and with all my millions of dollars. And I didn't have to talk to anybody. I hated everybody. I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm going to sit here by myself, and I don't have to do anything. I'll do whatever I want because I have all this money, and I could do this and that. God had a different plan for me. So, with that being said, I am where I am now. This is the last thing I thought I'd be doing, but this is the greatest thing I could ever be doing. And this is the greatest gift I missed while I was on the mountain of Major League Baseball, is using my platform to be able to inspire and impact other people's lives. That's the greatest thing that I missed doing that. Now, speaking, teaching, coaching, and creating video content, writing a book, doing a movie, stuff like that. I'm on fire for that. I have purpose. I'm on purpose. I think this is what I've been put here to do. Baseball was phenomenal because it gave me a platform to do things like this, to kind of like, oh, what's cool. But now like gives people a chance to really see who I am. And then I do not own the zoo anymore. That was my last chapter. First chapter was Major League Baseball. Second chapter was zoo. I think 2012 is when I got divorced and had to displace everything. But that was absolutely a phenomenal thing. I loved the zoo more than I loved playing baseball. I felt like Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter from Australia. Like I was just so passionate about these animals and these kids and the love and everything with that. But now I have a baseball academy in Mexico. I help kids out down there and help kids the underdogs. My foundation is against all odds, and we teach them the same things that I teach the adults, that I teach entrepreneurs and world-class athletes and stuff like that. How to unlock elite performance, how to discover and design your story, because so many people don't realize your story is your business card. If I just sat here and talked to you guys about the cool things about Major League Baseball, it would have been cool, but it wouldn't have made an impact. But I'm sharing you my story. It's like, wow, I didn't know that about you. Yeah. This is like the real stuff, meaty stuff that really people can relate to. And that's where impact happens, right? I can entertain you guys with cool stories because I did a lot of cool things, but that's how can people relate to that? They can't. They can't relate to standing in a batter's box in front of 40,000 people on ESPN against Mariano Rivera and having success. Like that's not relatable. That's entertaining and cool, but what's relatable? It's the meat and potatoes of this stuff. Like, dude, I wanted to die. If you feel like that, I understand what you feel like. Just keep going. Stop the bleeding. Stop doing the actions and the rituals that you do on a daily basis to bleed out. The number one thing that people are addicted to is the story that they tell themselves every single day. The byproduct of that addiction is the addiction to pornography, the addiction to gambling, the addiction to drugs and alcohol and food and all this distraction to run numb and flee from that pain. But the number one thing is the story you tell yourself from your experiences. You can actually rewrite history. You can't change the actual action, but I can go back and change my perspective to that to be a positive one. And that pain will give you a chance to heal and go through that stuff. And now you unleash a power inside yourself that people can't stop you. And that's the only reason that I'm sitting here today. So owning the zoo, I had 300 farm and exotic animals. Wow. I had camels, kangaroos, llamas, alpacas, monkeys, raccoons. I had two 800-pound Wilshire pigs. Wilshire pigs are the ones that they lop off the tails and they slaughter, they process them for meat, bacon, and stuff like that. Their name was Taco Bell and Gilbert. I had a CNI pony for a blind horse. I had a 3-legged goat named Trace that somebody lopped off his leg at the knee, so I had to rehab it and rescue it. And then I had a Holstein cow, which is the black and white cows, the milking cows. I had a Holstein cow that was really big, so we named him Biggie Smalls. And then I had a little miniature donkey that was a little pistol, and we named him Tupac. Those guys, when that night, would have to separate Biggie Smalls and Tupac because they'd have coast-to-coast wars, man. It's like, dude, you can't be tearing up the zoo. Just joking, but the kids love that story. And then I had so many different things. I had camels and kangaroos, I had a zonkey, I had zebras, and I had all that stuff. And I just did it, right? I went out there and I had a vision, and I just put it together, and it manifested, and you just go out there, and it was super fun. The only thing with that is I owned that zoo for 4 years, and I had maybe 10 days off in 4 years because it's every day, hot, cold, sick, holidays, whatever. I had 15 employees, but I always gave them all the time off for their families and all that stuff. And I'd go out there and I'd just spend time with them day and night. And it was really expensive feeding 300 animals.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah. So before we get to the last two things, I'm going to put you on the spot here. So for Aaron Judge, do you see him staying with the Yankees or going back home to play with the Giants or some other team?
You want to know what went through my mind when you said that? I don't care. I don't care what Aaron Judge does. I just care that Aaron Judge is able to navigate that space that he's in right now with the soundest mind possible, to where the pressures and everything that comes along with that does not he doesn't fall to that because it's so easy for us to do that. Once we fall to the pressure of who we are, we have to go perform every single night. We can't bring ourselves every single night. So ego fills that gap, and ego stands for edging God out. So a lot of us write off that. I'm very, as a player, I mean, we're independent contractors, like we're employees, right? So it's just like, this is a business. This is a business. And it's a multi-billion-dollar business, and you have owners that are really good at what they do, and they'll leverage and take advantage, and they don't give two darns about you. They don't care about your family. They care about you getting the final product out there because you're a piece of a puzzle. That's it. At the end of the day, you're just a piece of a puzzle. That's it. So with that being said, I'm very proud of Aaron Judge for not folding and not backing down and signing something that he didn't want to sign before the season started in spring training or whatever. And he went out there and had stayed healthy for number one, because it's going to be very difficult for someone like him to stay healthy. He's 6'8", 280. That's impossible to stay healthy with it doing baseball, because it's rotational. There's so many things on a baseball field that you can't train for that will put you in a position. We're not naturally meant to rotate, right? So your back breaks down, legs, all that stuff. So with being that big and that much force and torque in his body, I wish for him to stay healthy and be able to understand what he truly has is a platform to be able to impact and add value to people's lives. So I don't know, man. Like, playing for the Giants and playing for the Yankees is two totally different. Like, you're just like talking about two different universes. So it's like, do you want to stay in New York and deal with that, or you want to go back to San Francisco and deal there? Because you're not going to deal. San Francisco fans are great,
Yeah.
but it's not New York. It's not die hard. I I I didn't fare well in the West Coast. Like, if it was up for me, my type of player, I wanted to play in New York or Boston or whatever, because this is like, let's go.
Yeah.
But I don't know Aaron Judge personally, but I know he's in a good position, and I pray that he's got a good team of people around him off the field to support him, because it's so hard, man.
Yeah. And he bet on himself big time with the historic season, 62 home runs, passing Roger Maris. And what a great season to witness and to see for everyone here. But so the last two things here, our team is part of this foundation. It's called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. He's a former NFL coach, but now he's coaching at Grambling State University. We're trying to help him
Oh, cool.
Yeah. We're trying to help him prevent human trafficking and making sure the community stays safe. So we'll send you the foundation so you can go check it out.
Yeah, Hugh Jackson, right?
Yeah, Hugh Jackson.
Yeah, I know him. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's cool.
And
That's cool that he's doing it. I didn't know he's a head coach at Grambling State. That's a cool university.
yeah.
I've been following Deion Sanders too over there in
Oh,
Jackson. That's
11 and
so
0.
awesome to see.
11 and 0.
It's awesome to see what he's done with that prime time here to show you what it's like without cussing.
Yeah, but they went undefeated this year, which is amazing.
It's just, I don't know. I wouldn't expect anything different. I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that could happen to anybody. It's being in the right environment. It's when you get people to start believing in themselves, they start doing stuff that they didn't even think was possible.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. Right. So many people operate at 60% max of their potential because they don't believe that they're true, that they could do it. The most powerful force in human nature is for us to stay congruent to what we believe to be true about ourselves. And I mean, come on, how can you not believe in yourself when you're on prime time? You know what I mean? Like, it's just good things happen, and it's happening in a place, and it's bringing awareness around a place that needs to have awareness in that I don't know, sports, that sector of college football or that part of Mississippi and stuff like that. I mean, not having water in the town and him bathing in a swimming pool, and it's really cool to see.
Yeah, and the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and all the essential workers right now?
It's just a lot of times we get lost in the shuffle and we see things that we don't want to see, or we see things that we're not prepared to see. We experienced around things that a lot of people don't understand. Without them, so many things are not possible. And what's going through my mind right now is so many times they feel unseen and unworthy, and don't understand the emotional stress and the emotional drain and the physical drain and the mental drain, because there's so many people that are hurting out there right now. And people come in with ailments and COVID and stuff like that, but they see stuff so far deeper than that. That's just a byproduct of what people are truly living, right? So there's a lot of people out there that are hurting in life right now, and they just need to understand that their smile and their canner and the way they carry themselves and the way they present themselves it makes such a bigger difference and a bigger impact than actually what they do, their technique and their skill sets within inside the space of what they do, whether they're trying to fix something with medicine or techniques or surgery. Like, how you carry yourself and giving people hope is so far greater than the medicine of the actual stuff to fix them physically. So it's just it's amazing to see what they do every day, day in and day out.
Yeah, well said. And there you have it. I'm gonna let you close it out. So tell our fans where they can follow you on social media.
Yeah, just Google me and you'll find all kinds of cool stuff that's entertaining. But you can find me at SheaHillenbrand.co, not .com, because a Boston fan has SheaHillenbrand.com and they want me to pay money. I'm not going to pay money for a URL. So it's SheaHillenbrand.co. And I have Major League MLB Mindset, MLBmindset.com, where it's like my coaching program where I help people out that want to that they have that drive inside them, that want to go do something greater than what they're doing right now, and that could help them through that. I'm on social. Where I spend most of my time is Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and starting on YouTube. So it's just Shea Hillenbrand or Shea_Hillenbrand on IG.
Well, so there you have it, man. Two-time former MLB infielder, two-time All-Star Shea Hillenbrand. Man, what a powerful story, fulfilling his dream, getting to his goal, never giving up. And man, he definitely dug deep today in his story. And thank you to our fans for asking great questions also. And we would love to have you back on the show at some point down the line so you can meet the full team. But Shea, keep up the great work, man. We'll be following you. Obviously, stay connected. And man, this was awesome. I think I learned a lot today from this. And keep it up, man. This is awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'll have to come back on about 6 months because that's when my book will be launched, so we can promote that and help people out with that. Yeah. Cool, brother. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. The fans, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for your time and great questions. I appreciate it.
Thank you.